Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Above the Bar podcast, where each week we belly up to the bar with a new guest, find out what they do, who they are, and what makes them great. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the Above the Bar podcast. It's your host, Sean. We're bellied up to the bar. As you can tell, the people that are at the bar are actually at the bar today. Looks all kinds of weird and shit. We haven't done this in a while. We haven't had somebody come out live with us. So we just recorded what will hopefully be one of many of future episodes of the Above the Bar podcast barbecue and booze series. We'll get some people come out. We'll do some different barbecue foods from different areas, try some different liquors, and kind of hang out and figure out what everybody's doing. So why not do that with the group that came out? The first person that was on our distilling series came out and talked to us. We brought back with us Jesse, and he brought back with him another bearded wonder like myself to come out. You know, the Greek goddess, the thunder from down under. You know, brought him out. We've already been talking beard oils and lotions and back rubs and all kinds of stuff has already been happening here. So got to welcome Jesse and Evan from New Scotland Spirits. What's up, gents?
Hey.
Thank you for having us, buddy.
Yeah, so the first thing I probably should say is thank you for having us back. That's obviously a good indication that we did something right. I think it was like 15 months ago.
It's been a while.
Yeah, so the last time we were here, it was me along with Patrick Carey, who is one of the other owners. He's actually a big part of, I think, what spearheaded this whole enterprise and ambition. It was in just after the New Year in 2016, that he kind of developed this idea, this inspiration for, let's get into the craft beverage world. And it wasn't something that I even really knew anything about. And next thing I know, talking to Pat, we started first looking at, did we want to do a brewery perhaps? And then the idea just fell in our laps because we come from New Scotland. And in fact, Evan Dimitriadis, one of the other owners of the company.
It's a good Polish name.
Very
good Polish name.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so I know an Evan since the first day of kindergarten. We're all a bunch of New Scots from New Scotland. And we figured, you know what? We've got this name. What is Scotland known for? And obviously that brought us to Scotch, which brought us to whiskey after a couple lawsuits where we were on the wrong side of the attention of the Kingdom of Scotland.
Let's get into that piece in a minute here. I know you're right. If y'all can't tell, Jesse was in the Army for a while and they didn't let him talk. So they finally got his first opportunity to communicate with other adults. So we're going to get him. We've already got Trevor's jumping on from our folks at DCD Collects. Trevor's amazing. They've got some great stuff coming up. Let's get real quick into it. Let's get some house cleaning done. Bar's going to open up. We got sticker and a calls. If you've got something that you're supporting, whether you've got your own distillery, your own spirits company, a podcast, a charitable organization, whatever it is, reach out to me on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, even our emails, all the Above the Bar podcast. And you mention to me, hey, I want to get my sticker up there. You send it out to me. I'll put it up on the big board. We'll read about it live on air so other people can hear about it and other people can support what you're doing also. That's the only way we grow the bar is if we support each other. Also, if your media feels like it might be a cheap well drink, you might want to reach out to Media by Dibs. Reach out to Dibs and mention to him, belly up to the bar. He's going to give you a 10% discount on your first media order and a free consultation. Media by Dibs on Facebook, Media by Dibs on Instagram. And if you look for him on LinkedIn, it's under Andrew Dibble. All right. Now, Jesse, now the bar's open.
Bar's open.
He's passing out free drinks before things happen. And it's so funny because he's the only person I've ever had hold the mic right there. Let me hold this thing.
Yeah.
Everybody else is normally it's fucking, we're good. He's the first one to actually ever hold the mic like that.
I was born with this thing.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Let's see here. If anybody's out there can hear, because I'm always worried about the audio on these things on the first couple times, how the audio is sounding. So if anybody can tell me how the audio sounds out there, I greatly appreciate that. All right, here's Trevor.
He's coming in clear because he's holding it 2 seconds from his mouth, but everybody else is a little better.
I'm just trying to check it out here. So give me some. So let's get into this whole piece, Jesse. For those that didn't hear you 15 months ago, what is the birth of the entire New Scotland spirits?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's about celebrating our community, because our community is the anchor, or maybe the center of this universe around which we're all orbiting. So as I said, I've known Evan since the first day of kindergarten, and we were on a bus route that took us past Lime Kiln Farm, and Lime Kiln Farm is the fields from which we source all the corn, the wheat, the rye that we distill into our Helderberg whiskey series. Our barley, which goes into Helderberg single malt, that actually comes from this renowned farm known as Indian Ladder Farms. It's an orchard. I'm sure y'all been there. They've had some difficulty growing barley because climate's changing. Everything's so wet in upstate New York. But oddly enough, if we can't get Indian Ladder Farm to get more barley for us, since otherwise this thing right here may be the last time that we produce this single malt. It looks like as of just this year, our friends on bus route 6 at Lime Kiln Farm, they've got lime underneath their soils. They may be one of the only farms in New Scotland, if not all of upstate New York, that can grow barley, and that's what our fingers are crossed for. So
now, is that a big part of so I've never grown barley. So is that a big part of growing barley? Is the lime in the soil? What
in the context of what you're trying to do is get water out of the soil.
Okay.
It filters it, right? Like Evan and I aren't farmers. That's why on our bus route there was Randy Miller, and Randy ended up marrying Rebecca Miller, who's been a huge part.
Hold on a second. His last name was Miller and her last name was Miller?
Well, it's after they married. She's previously Smolin.
Okay,
I was Voorheesville, man, but that's not how it really went.
I was concerned there for a minute. I was like, are we got like an uncle dad situation going on?
No. Her last name was Smolin. Correct?
That's right. Yeah.
What the hell was your graduating class?
86 people.
86.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've had gym classes bigger than that.
Probably. Yeah.
I mean, the crazy thing is that we're not all sick of one another. Like literally,
we all get along.
It's 6 of us. It's 6 of us from back in the day that came together to distill spirits from grains grown in the same fields we used to have the keggers on.
Yes.
It's almost 10% of your class. You realize that, right?
Oh, yeah. We got it.
I mean, I'm just realizing that as you said those numbers, I was like, wait a sec, that's like 8% of their graduating class is now working together in a distillery.
Yeah.
Well, you got to see the way the town has rallied to receive us. I mean,
that's awesome.
These whiskeys have been aging for 5 years. Mm-hmm. 4 different brands aging for 5 years. We started selling them 3 weeks ago. You should see the way that New Scotland rolled the red carpet out for us.
Yeah, they've been pretty open.
Voorheesville liquor stores got us right now in these beautiful display cases. We're at Indian Ladder Farms. We're right. If you expand out a little bit, we're at the Slingerland's wine. What is that? Fine Wines.
Yep. Right in the Price Chopper Plaza.
We're in Albany now.
I just want you to know how that all sounds.
What?
See, this is so upstate in moving here. Slingerland's Fine Wines next to Price Chopper.
Yep.
Make sure you pop on into Slingerland's Fine Wine right next to the Price Chopper Plaza.
Yep.
I mean, that's.
I don't know what you're saying, Sean.
Oh, I'm saying
the
it.
The best gourmet food is going to be at Price Chopper, and I'm not even sponsored to say that.
Look, I used to tell people where I grew up in Baltimore in the town called Dundalk. You always knew the sound of a good wine by the crack of the cap.
What, Boone's Farm?
Yeah, look, Strawberry Fields, though.
Yeah.
What was the apple one? What was the apple one?
I don't remember.
There's
no like that strawberry was like the hit though.
The Strawberry Fields, like for every 13-year-old that needed to steal a bottle somewhere, it was always about the Strawberry Fields.
Here's the thing you got to understand when it comes to, and we're going to taste these if you don't mind. When it comes to
I
whiskey,
don't mind.
Whiskey, handcrafted whiskey, small batch craft whiskey, the best of it comes from these small backwater towns.
Absolutely.
Straight up, where people actually give a shit about the product they're putting out. This isn't mass produced by design.
Nope.
If someone came to us with an order and said 200,000 bottles tomorrow, we'd be like, can't, bruh.
Impossible.
We don't have the fieldage for it. Right?
Impossible.
That's so for us, the fact that this is one, our objective is to make sure that everyone in New Scotland, every New Scot that wants a bottle is going to be able to get it. And then after that, you're going to have to fight tooth and nail with some of our very friends and family to get your hands on a bottle. And we like it like that. You know, we actually care about the product that we're putting out, and you're going to taste it.
Yeah.
You'll see it.
Now, what's your part in all this, Evan? I mean, you are the face of the organization and ruggedly handsome and
Thank you.
all those things.
I try. Well, Jesse and I, we were brought in, or he brought me in. What was it?
Years ago, man. At this point, the first time we talked about it was probably a half a decade ago. But as recently as just this year, you've been heading up
But
the
getting,
sales.
yeah, but getting things going like officially, like where I'm at right now, sales and all, I would say, just earlier this year. It's going quite well, actually. He had mentioned Slingerland's, he had mentioned the Voorheesville liquor store. We're also in Albany. We've got our stuff up over at Colfin Wine. Those displays he had mentioned, I had found a close friend of mine from Voorheesville, another Blackbird, Ryan Lombardo. Ryan Lombardo from Voorheesville. He's the one who's fashioning those displays. I don't know if we can get a link to seeing those.
If you send me, so what we'll do is we'll put a link in the bottom of the show description.
You have got to see this guy's work. I mean, it's phenomenal.
It's weirdly good, and in fact, I'm sure he's gonna hear this. So let's not gas him up too much, because next thing we know, we won't be able to afford him. I mean, you're gonna look at this, you're gonna realize, like,
well, I saw one. Was it like a boat or something like that? What was the one I saw that you guys had on Facebook? And again, folks, if you go on Facebook and you look up New Scotland Spirits, they'll pop up on Facebook, Instagram. There was one. It was like a very large display. I guess I feel like it looked like a boat.
oh, well, that's the half barrel display.
Okay, that's what it was. It was a half barrel.
I was like, did we have him make a boat? No, he's basically taking our whiskey barrels and he's cutting them in half and fashioning them with these shelves and making them into half displays, and they are absolutely gorgeous.
You know what? To that end, I want to show you. In fact, Evan, I didn't even show you this. This just goes to show this is classic evidence of what it means to be a new Scot involved in this thing. So I text this guy.
And I love the fact that you refer to it that way. Like, it's not like, hey, our neighborhood, and it's just being referred to as our neighborhood got behind us. You refer to yourselves as New Scots.
Yeah,
we are New Scots.
Like that. But it's interesting. Like, well, you could say, hey, I live in Albany County. I could live in this, that, and the other. But you refer to yourself as a New Scot.
Oh, I'm going to tell you straight up. I mean, listen, I served my country. I did a decade in the Army, Roger. I would say I'm a New Scot first. I was happy to serve America. I was obviously, like it was about, this is a collective effort for the country. But if you don't know your own community, if that's not how you're defining yourself first and foremost, what the fuck are you doing in the Army? What are you doing trying to be an American if you don't even know what it means to be, in our case, a New Scot? Like, I came back, and it just goes to show, look at how people care about us. Case in point, and God, I feel, Ryan, you do not deserve the degree of love I'm giving you right now.
Yeah,
listen
we're
to
not
this.
paying you anymore. So
Yo, I said
There's no. Sorry, Ryan.
I send Ryan, by the way, who is making these beautiful things. I mean, Murph, check this out real quick.
So let's take a look at this. Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. So that's the half barrel. For those that are watching the live, they're physically like somebody took the front end of one of the barrels, cut it off, etched into it, New Scotland Spirits. The displays are beautiful, and it's also got like a wrought iron with the exposed bolts and everything, and it's beautiful display.
So get this. So, this is the cornerstone of our marketing campaign, because at the end of the day, Evan sourced this guy, found him. I remember him from when he was a kid. He was a few years younger than us than when we were in school. And I write him and I go, keep cranking them out. You so clutch. And he writes back, thanks, buddy. Thank you for the opportunity. He's doing us this remarkable favor, giving us this beautiful handcrafted art. And he's thanking us for the opportunity. I mean, that to me, when I read that, I was just like, this just goes to show why Randy and Rebecca are giving us their grain from Limekiln Farm, why Diedrich down at Indian Ladder Farms is giving us his grain, why Ryan is making this handcrafted stuff, why John Berkwas comes in with some cash, why Guastella is letting us use his barn to throw all of our product in. Like,
well, I love the fact that everybody involved in this has a name. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, well, we reached out to such and such major giant company and they're holding on to this, and you're trying to recognize this giant corporation for doing their part. It's your neighbors, it's your friends, it's people you grew up with. well, I went and played football with this one's little brother who played, with my younger sister and whatever.
When Pat's the one that really started the conversation with Berquist. But the funny thing is, I know John since Serendipity Nursery School.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean,
I remember that place.
I'll put it this way: when we talk about how we aged this whiskey for 5 years, that's a drop in the bucket when you're talking about knowing people for 3.5 decades.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you also mentioned, and we were talking earlier about this great documentary called Neat, and they make a comment in it. For most distillers, by the time you make your second batch, of really like your second batch, what was it? Your second batch comes fully to birth. You may never get to taste your third one because you're making it for somebody else. Because most likely, at that point, it's 21 years down the road, depending upon when you became a master distiller. You may never get a chance to try it. Have you given that, like, as you're putting these together, knowing information like that, how does that affect how you put something like this together?
I don't know. I mean, I'd say I try to keep that from happening. I'd like to taste everything that we make before it gets into the bottle.
Yeah, it just means we gotta stay alive.
Yeah.
That's a long. I mean, you could pickle yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an option.
I'm thinking about freezing myself. I'm talking to Walt Disney's people right now.
That's worth the conversation.
We're seeing how that goes.
The other piece is, and I think this is notable, is that our model is very different because we are all about. I mean, literally, Evan was my closest friend. If you look at physically, we would shout to each other remember that when waiting for the bus, we would be shouting to each other down what were like 0.3 miles away.
Yep.
And
pretending like we understood each other.
Exactly. And the funny thing was,
yeah.
That's how it went.
That experience is at the cornerstone of what we're celebrating. So for us, it's not about the distilling. It's about the grain. We've outsourced every aspect of this. We source the grain. We source distillers, other partners and compatriots. We have them distill for us. Then we age it with, in fact, John Curtin, another New Scot who runs Albany Distilling Company. And then we bring it down.
Oh, John was because John's been on. I didn't know he was from New Scotland.
He's a New Scot now, right? He's originally from, I want to say Bethlehem.
I think he lives on Swift Road now.
Yeah, he's a New Scot now.
That's funny.
He's ours.
Yeah.
And
you belong to us now.
That's right.
You're mine.
You're right. That's right. And
we
so
provide the robes.
All those pieces.
You're already getting some comments. Denise Southward, she lives out in Lebanon, New York. She was just mentioning how they've got a great distillery out there. Loves small town bourbons and scotches, and she wants to try your guys' stuff. And she's out. That's actually our sponsor, Dibs. That's Dibs' mom. She actually won our last giveaway.
Okay.
She got like a sweatshirt, one of these shirts that I'm wearing right now, a Punk is a Doornail album, a drumstick from the band. I don't know if you guys can see it hanging. Can you see the dragon hanging?
Yeah.
That's handmade from Chris Hensworth, who won a season 7 Forged in Fire champion. He made 2 of those for me, and she won that. She won like all this stuff, and I'm like, that's damn Dibs' mom.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know somebody's out there going like, the fix was in.
Right. I was gonna say
the fix was in. But so let's talk a little bit about what we've got here to drink as I'm fixing my chair because I gotta buy new chairs. Fucking thing keeps falling apart. They're comfy, but mine, like, I think the gas in mine is done, or I've become a pure fat ass and don't realize it. And it's like, as I'm sitting here, it's just like slowly sliding down.
All right, before we do that bourbon, Evan, hand me the winter wheel. I'll tell you, this is what I'm thinking. So first of all, to everybody who's watching NS, we wax seal this, and straight up.
Now, why the wax seal?
We wanted to pay homage to a brand that we believe Williams Grant & Son has absolutely detonated. Okay, and I'll say straight up, Hudson Whiskey was like a big part of our inspiration. All right, that's Tuttletown Spirits. And
their baby bourbon was something else.
It's something else, man.
Baby bourbon. What?
They had a baby bourbon. It was the first product of theirs that I'd ever.
That was just the name of it was baby bourbon.
The Hudson baby bourbon.
Yo,
okay.
Dude, have you ever tried their corn whiskey? It's that clear whiskey.
No.
They wrote the book on it, dude.
No, I never tried it. But that baby bourbon was something else. Like I really, really, really dug that.
They were the first distillery in New York since Prohibition, and they did it right. And they brought these little chubby apothecary bottles out, and they wax sealed it, and then they got bought for an astronomical sum by Williams Grant and Sons, and they tried to make their marketing all sleek and sexy, and so they walked away from this. We decided to pick it up because for us, nothing symbolizes authenticity like their color, straight up. Imitation the highest form of flattery. And so what we did, our little enhancement was that we stamped it with the NS logo on the top, and we didn't put a pull tab in there because
Make people work for this.
Because you wanted somebody to because you wanted someone to say, as I'm watching you right now, have you ever seen the movie Ernest Goes to Camp?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you remember when he's sharpening the knife? You bring the knife along the stone and down at this angle through the meat of the hand. Is that a rabbit over there? And then he screams. That's all I can see right now is any minute.
He's had more practice.
As a Marine, would you like me to teach you how to use that knife? We're really good with it. Keep the wax seal away. I don't want to have to chew on anything.
So what we did is, and we're also, because in responding to all the people that have been asking for it, yeah, we got these branded knives that people like whenever we're at our farmers markets.
Branded knives, really?
Yeah.
They're dope.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
They're great. I'll give you credit for that too. That was your brainchild.
Yep, we're gonna need them. So
this right here is our 100% wheat whiskey. Okay, what that means is that this is only single grain. It's wheat. All right. And the cool thing about wheat is that as a grain, it's not overpowering one way or another. Okay, that grain is going to let you extract the flavor of the barrel. At the end of the day, that's what whiskey is. Primarily, I can taste the grain. I can taste the difference between different types of whiskeys. But a lot of what informs the flavor is the way the barrel interacts with the spirit. So when you throw alcohol in a barrel, depending on what your char is, if you've charred, you burnt the inside of that barrel, you're breaking down that organic material from its starches to your sugars, you're going to start getting that sweetness that over the course of half a decade, your alcohol picks up. And so, in fact...
And it's funny, and as you're pouring that, I want to mention something. I guess I recently heard that really most whiskey was always clear until they started shipping cross-country. Like you would bring a barrel, it was almost like our containers today. We think about shipping containers. You might have shipped that thing across country with fish in it to Kentucky, but they wanted the bourbon from Kentucky. So they would take the barrel, physically burn the inside of it to get the fish smell out of it and that flavoring, and then fill it with the whiskey and ship it back. And when it got back to the East Coast, because of the length of the trip, well, now it had changed color.
It's all clear when it goes in.
That's
right?
exactly right. I
Yep.
mean, that's the funny thing,
Yep.
that all whiskey is clear
Yep.
when it comes off the still.
Yep.
The issue is that, to your point, no one really knows what the origin of where that convention of burning your barrel comes from. That's certainly one way.
There's been different stories.
I just told you the story. That's
it.
That's it.
I mean,
Yeah. Sean Murphy, yeah, May 2022, we figured it out.
I just told you the story. What the fuck? I mean, God, gave you the whole thing.
So what you're looking at is this would be clear. And listen, it's dealer's choice. This is a softer, sweeter, smoother whiskey. You drink it however the fuck you want. When we get to the bourbon in a second, I want to give you a little bit of a taste of how you should consume our product. So this right here,
Like you can smell the more woodsy.
You can.
Like it's definitely more of a woodsy. And look, folks, I'm the guy who I had COVID, lost my entire sense of smell. So I'm just glad I can smell anything. But I mean,
Well, like
you
we
can
said
smell that.
earlier, the palates, everybody's palate's different. Everybody's tongue is different. You know, coming from, I worked in the wine industry a little bit, and the things that people would tell me that they taste when they put a wine on their tongue is fucking batshit crazy, considering what is really in the bottle.
that's right.
But everybody's different.
well,
You know what I mean? So that's wild that's what you smell because it's pretty on point.
now with this, now we were talking about this earlier about drinking these things properly when you drink and neat. And it's funny you mentioned wine. Like I watched some shows where you're supposed to put the wine in your mouth and then suck air through it and hold your pinky up and, embezzle money as you're doing it or whatever it is you're supposed to do. Is that a thing with this? And we're going to get our official taster. I think he just came back. Did our official taster just come back?
What's up, Mike?
Our official taster, Mike, just came back. So
Yeah. Well, in fact, here, Mike, there you go. 'cause
So,
we're gonna get
Mike, we're gonna get you to
unvarnished.
come around in front of the camera.
So, Evan, can you help me with that?
And for those of you that aren't watching, that aren't stand right there, Mike. For those of you that aren't watching this live, Mike does have a face for podcasts.
Yes,
So
he does.
So here's the thing. To answer your question, nothing's more annoying than someone telling you how to drink. But
There
look,
is.
bottom line, do what you want. If you don't give a shit about how you drink, if you're drinking whiskey because of how you want it to make you feel, do whatever the fuck you want. What I am telling you is that there is a way to enjoy the act of ingesting this, and the way you do it is by putting it at the right part of your mouth. If you're going to breathe in, which is what most people do, when you tip it back, if you're going to breathe in a little bit, then you're going to take acetone right to your esophagus. It's going to burn. So stop
Don't do that.
complaining about it,
Yeah.
right? If you want the burn, have the burn. If you don't want the burn, the way you drink it, really simple. You sniff it first, and then you hold that breath. So you now scented it, and now just do the tiniest little tip back, and you go just to the front of your mouth. You practically absorb it with your tongue, and what you're getting is a warmness that doesn't
That's
burn.
soft.
Yeah,
that's real soft.
cream.
That's
Lean on in here,
smooth.
Mike. Lean in here to the mic, Mike.
It's very smooth, and like you said, trying it that way, it makes a complete difference in how you taste it and
Yeah, like I've never
the
done
way it
that.
hits the palate.
Hey, and listen, don't patronize me. Was that good?
It was super smooth.
Yes, it was.
Like I wouldn't even use the word smooth. I would call it soft.
So that's the word
That's,
that Pat
uh,
carries.
the way
In
that
fact,
it
it's so
is.
funny when
Well, if
ultimately
Pat said it, I'm not fucking saying it. I'm not saying it.
ultimately,
Pat ain't here today, so I ain't saying that shit.
the thing that Pat's ultimately the person who's responsible a lot for this taste. He's the one who, because he does have a more advanced palate and experience with it, he's the one that's signing off on these things. And we give him samples over the, as it's aging. And one of the things that he has said is he's looking for, the word really that he uses is he wants every single whiskey that we put into a bottle to be gentle.
Yeah, no,
And that's
that's good.
That's perfect description of that 100%.
Right?
Awesome.
And so check this out now, because Evan and I have been, sucking this down at a million different tastings and farmers markets. We can just at this point drop it. But now we're going to throw this bourbon in here. And in fact, if you want, you can dump out, if you don't want to taste your whole thing, but if you don't mind, Evan, hand me that 1897 anniversary. This is a bottled and bond bourbon.
Now, what does that bond mean? And Nate just popped up. What's up, brother, man? Make sure everybody we got a few people watching right now. Make sure you're sharing this to all your Facebook, yard sale sites, all those places where you buy stuff that you really don't need, so that we can go ahead and get the word out. And again, make sure you're going on to New Scotland. That's 1T spirits.com. Check these guys out. You can find out where you can purchase. Is there any other merch on there, like shirts, pins, anything?
Not as of yet, but coming soon.
Yeah, I mean, Evan's been talking about merch. The thing is that
Got a merch.
We've been all about whiskey, but you're right. You're right. I mean,
Snap bracelets coming soon.
Oh, you know what you ought to do?
That's real.
Oh, do you remember? I'll tell you how old I am here in a minute. Do you remember when my parents owned a liquor store and a bar when I was a kid. That's why I know anything that I know about this stuff. And my dad used to sell these breathalyzers, and you could put it in your car. They were fucking useless, but people would buy them, and it would look like this little breathalyzer and had these crystals in it that if you blew into it and the crystals changed colors, it would tell you how drunk you were.
That's fucking awesome.
Right.
branded with New Scotland Spirits.
That's what I'm saying. You guys will all go to jail because people be like, oh, you said I was sober and your shit had me all fucked up.
Maybe we'll have like if
Hey,
you blow
Sean.
at a certain amount.
I'm just pouring a little. You can either drink that, you can dump it out. And I'll tell you
Man.
what.
See, this is proof that Jesse was a fucking He's trying to tell the gunny how the hell to fucking do with water and shit like that. What kind of bullshit's this?
That breathalyzer idea, I fucking love it. Now, after you blow a certain amount, though, it's just gonna say like calling.
Well, you get a
Albany-
car.
calling the Albany County Sheriff.
Look, completely sidebar. We had in Saratoga County, they had the best DUI prevention idea in the world by far. Before we had Ubers and Lyft up here, they had a program in Saratoga County where it was two drivers. So you would pick up the phone or shoot a text to this company. And I don't remember the name of the company, so I can't give them a free plug. But you would reach out to them and say, hey, I'm too drunk to drive. I need a driver. A driver and a chaser would come to where you are. They would drive your car back to your house.
Awesome.
Yep.
And then the chaser would follow to make sure you didn't kidnap the person
Right.
and they didn't do nothing to your car. And then they would get back in the other car and they would go back to Caroline Street or wherever it was in Saratoga and pick it up again. I don't know if they're still doing it or not with Uber. What would you rather do? Bring my car back to my house? Or, I mean, it was a great idea and it was pre-Uber and all that. So it was completely legal because you were still in your
Right,
car.
That's
Right,
right.
right.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I had never heard of that. but
Yeah.
that's perfect.
Nate says he may need a few bottles watching the Ravens this year. Look, only to celebrate.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Yep.
I just-
Roger, hometown.
I'm a big old homer.
right.
I'm a 100%. Like if we had a professional badminton team out of Baltimore, I'm so rocking that shit. I'm so rocking that. I'd be like, woo, birdies for everyone, bitches.
Well, wait. Here we can actually tie this into your brand allegiance because I've seen you got a lot of Heaven Hill,
I do.
and you clearly enjoy it.
I do.
So then here's what I'm going to say about this because I just poured us all a tiny little bit of Heaven Hill because all you're doing is you're just taking a little sip.
That's what you just put in here.
Here, let me give
Where
you
the
a
hell did you
little
get
bit
this?
more.
I
Let me give you
was
a
about to say,
little
like, fucking, I've never drank that little Heaven Hill a day in my life.
Well,
You got
it
the
may
eye
be,
dropper.
maybe the last time you're going to drink this Heaven Hill because I'm about to blow it out the
I
water.
didn't even see you pour this.
So check-
Where did he
So
sneak
check
that
this
in
out.
from?
It's Heaven Hill, all right? It's also a bonded bourbon.
Yes, and it
Right.
tastes like vanilla.
Check this out. So we're gonna enjoy a Kentucky bourbon. All right, it's Heaven Hill.
I smell
It's a
the vanilla.
standard. It's the standard. Let's enjoy it. Okay, smooth, right?
It is good. And
It
this is
is.
my first time having Heaven Hill.
Is it really?
Yeah,
That's my first
It's
time
great.
as well.
Yeah. it's
Like,
really good.
so I will tell you,
Now watch this.
the only thing that they've done, and you mentioned John, and I love John for this reason, and you guys don't fall under this category, is a lot of these big distillers, and a lot of people don't realize it's 7 major
7, yeah.
companies that control the liquor industry
Everything.
on the planet.
Yep,
Not in the US, not
No,
in Canada,
7.
on the planet.
that's right.
And one of the things they've all gotten to do, and it's because of the bourbon industry that was dying. The bourbon industry started this, which was, hey, we found a barrel in the back that's been sitting there for an extra 2 years. This will be something special. So, oh, and by the way, we're going to allocate this. That's got water and stuff. And we're going to allocate this to locations.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Everything. And
You don't know about
I have no idea what.
So what they started doing is they could make plenty of this, and there's plenty barrels sitting in a distillery somewhere, sitting in a cave or wherever the hell they store their shit at. There's plenty of it, but what they do is they limit what they put out, and then they allocate it to the stores so that Buffalo Trace is doing this now, so that you and I, when we go to buy whatever we like, what's not there. So son of a gun, I better buy 2 bottles of it at a 20-30% markup than what it should be because the place was only allocated it.
I got to jump in here. Unimpressed.
But that's what they've done. That's what they've done to this industry.
Yeah,
Roger,
that's
but let me
it's all
just-
fucking
It's
games.
It's
all bullshit
games because they're doing
My
what
glass
we're
is empty.
doing.
That's a game.
Roger.
That's a bullshit game right there. My fucking glass is empty.
Like,
Bush League.
You just identified a tactic they had to artificially contrive.
Right.
This is what we are. Every single every single thing that we're drinking right now, this is all single barrel. This is all single barrel, small batch, single barrel. Everything we come out, if you like this taste, then you better buy a couple bottles because the next time you drink our bonded or single malt or rye or wheat, it's going to come from a different barrel.
Right.
It's going to have a different sensibility.
Not saying we're not going to put out something just as equally or better, but
And they're not blended.
But yeah, this is what's going to happen. We're going to put out something else, have a brand new label, and hopefully you like that one just as much or more.
And Nate, they wouldn't be considered a monopoly because there's 7 major companies that own it all. It would only be a monopoly if it was one company that had all of it. It's 7 companies that run this industry. If you go look into it, Seagram's, I think, is the biggest one of all of them. I believe it's Seagram.
Seagram's.
Which
You know your shit.
which how many, growing up, how many of us knew somebody's mom that drank 7 and 7s or
Yeah,
some
Secret
shit?
Seven, man.
Yeah, 7 and 7, 7 Up and Seagrams. But
Seagram's has taken a bit of a brand hit, given that they were the ones who were financing the Nexium cult out of Albany.
Oh, man.
oh, were they part of that?
Yes, and that was
That's so great. With the girl from Superman.
That guy had really nice hair, though, man.
I mean, and that really makes a difference,
So before you sip this, I just want to
Mm.
point out we just took the Heaven Hill, right? That was a bonded bourbon.
Now I can smell the vanilla in that.
Watch this. You just had Heaven Hill. Now I want you to
Maybe
taste
that's it.
this grain from New Scotland. Check this out.
Do I need to sniff it and then hold it and then
You do the whole thing. It's
Tap-
called drinking.
tap my
You
left-
dr- You drink it. That's right.
tap-
That's how
tap
you
my
drink
left-
it.
tap my left temple?
Gotta spin, dude.
Oh, that's a lot smoother. And,
Say it.
Oh, it is.
Preach, Mike.
It is.
That we just took. If you ask
So
me,
gentle, smooth.
I just assassinated Heaven Hill with that. Let's be real.
By far, you don't get any kind of kickback or burn or any of that. Honestly,
It's fucking good, right?
it is.
It's amazing. But I'll tell you what's different is where like the Heaven's Hill, I get the vanilla at the end of it. Mike said caramel, and that's what I get. It's almost a trying to think. I don't want to. It's like a Werther's that was sitting in an old man's pocket. But that's what it is. It's like a Werther's kind of a flavor.
We were at the Hudson Farmers Market, and there's this oddly, it's weird. Women have been buying the stronger proof stuff left and right.
Yeah, just going hard on it.
And we had this woman who came up, younger girl, and she drank it, and she used the best word on this. She said it tastes like afterwards, it's like sweet and chunky. And I was like, yes.
I don't know if I would say because I don't know about the word chunky because I don't want my drink to ever sound like that unless it's I went to Stewart's and I got a cream soda like a
I know
float
what
or
she
something.
means. It's like it's a full mouth feel. In other words, it follows you on the way down. It's like you still
You
feel
do
it.
understand that that's a whole nother podcast, right? That's
That's
a whole different podcast.
That's the podcast I'm doing right now.
That-
Part 2 coming up.
So listen here, ladies, you can go ahead and get you a drink. It's a full mouth. I
That's
just
the
want you to know it'll be
version.
chunky in your mouth. Yeah, ladies, you'll like it. Make sure you get your New Scotland Spirit.
That's right. That's the spirit of New Scotland.
Funnily enough, that's the woman from Lebanon that we're talking about.
That's so great. And Nate, I'll answer this for you because we actually just recorded our first episode of Barbecue and Booze. He wanted to know what food do you guys enjoy with your spirits? Well, it's obviously my 3-2-1 ribs, and
100%.
then the potato salad. I wanted to ask you guys, and I got to ask this, and we'll put this recipe up. What did you guys think of G.I. Judy's cucumber and tomato salad?
I loved it.
I love the
I saved-
base, the dressing.
I saved it for last just because I fucking knew that if I had it first, coming from Greeks, like a salad was like my shit. You know what I mean? So I
Yes.
saved it for last so I could eat the other food. I kind of wish I hadn't done that. That salad was delicious.
Yeah, that my
What's the
grandmother.
dressing, dude? That was great.
That was the one that my grandmother, like, you were guaranteed at any point to go in her house. That was in the refrigerator. Like, it was just
It's
like,
better when it sits too.
oh, dude.
2-3
Well, I
days
made that
later.
last. I made that last night.
Absolutely.
And folks, if you want to know, I'll tell you, it's tomatoes, cucumber, has to be Vidalia onions, has to be a sweet onion, and then you just sugar, apple cider vinegar, and mayo. That's it.
That's it.
Bro. It's so simple.
See,
And
if I had made that, I would have not done the mayo, not done the sugar, and that would have been on me, man. I never would have thought to add that stuff. The sugar to sauces, and everything, that's an Italian thing.
It's enough to take the edge off.
you need it for the apple cider vinegar because
okay.
the apple cider vinegar has that bite to it.
Yeah.
And
makes sense.
And the mayo can be, I don't know, like too creamy sometimes.
Okay.
That little bit of sugar, and it's not a lot. I just I've never.
It's a good idea. I just never would have thought to do it.
Yeah, that was grandma. It's just like my other grandmother, we were talking about. My other grandmother was Italian. If you went to her house, there was always olives, and she would make Italian olives, take Spanish olives, and she would roll them and crack the skin,
Wow.
and then she would put olive oil and roast and red pepper and a couple other things, and leave them in there, and then throw them in the fridge. And you'd always come over, and I've been eating that shit. I'm gonna tell you right now. You wanna know what my favorite bar snack is? By far, favorite bar snack. Sitting drinking, half in the bag, favorite. And I started doing this in Yuma, Arizona. Give me a cup of fucking olives.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You sound like
Seasoned olives.
No, just the regular bar
Really?
olives. Regular fucking bar olives.
What, like the green ones?
The green ones with the red eyeball.
Yeah.
Pimentos, oh, yeah.
Pimentos?
The red eyeball.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell they're called.
Yeah, you know,
Pimentos.
you know. See,
Oh.
you get along with my pops. My pops, like that's what it is. It's like feta, that.
Oh,
And then like he'll put like chopped like watermelon up as well. Watermelon, feta, bread, and olives, and then he'll drink some like ouzo or a scotch.
I got to tell you my ouzo story because you're Greek. You'll appreciate this.
Let's do it.
So I was in Corfu,
Okay.
which is one of the Greek islands, which is an amazing resort island. This is one of the best things that Jesse will admit to it too. The service will send you to some amazing places that everyone else pays stupid money to vacation in.
And you guys get just
Like I went to Ibiza, Spain on the Marine Corps' dime. I went to Corfu, Greece on their dime. Sardinia, Bari, Italy.
I similar experience. I went to the backwoods of Louisiana, Iraq, and Afghanistan.
But see, you know what? I would eat like,
Experience.
okay, well, I mean, there's the Marine Corps and then there's, well,
North Carolina was straight. I guess that was
Well,
that was a
well, look,
cultural experience.
North Carolina's political system wants you to think they're straight too. That's a whole nother animal in and of itself. But so we're at this restaurant in Corfu. I don't know shit about ouzo other than an uncle who was like, oh, you used to be able to hang a string in ouzo and opium would show up on it.
got a story about that, but go on.
And I'm like, okay, I'm like 20, 21 years old. I'm like, get hammered on some ouzo.
Mhm.
Well, then I tasted it and it tastes like black licorice. And I'd rather gouge my eyes out
I
than
love black licorice though. Man.
see, my dad was that way. I
I love
hate
that
black
shit.
licorice. If any one of these tastes like black licorice, I'd chase you out of my house.
No,
I
I'm with
can't-
you, man.
I
I'm-
can't.
I'm with you. You love that.
Yeah, I do.
That's a great. Oh God, I can't. So we're sitting there, and the first couple of times we go there, they just set this stuff down, and it's just cloudy liquid. Don't think nothing of it.
It's cloudy because they add a little bit of water to it.
Well, that was it. So next thing we know, we had a different bartender, and the guy puts 2 glasses down, and the guys I'm with are like, "No, we ordered ouzo," and the guy's like, "That is ouzo,"
Right.
and they're like, "No, it's cloudy," and the guy pours the water into it, and it goes straight cloudy. I'm like, I ain't drinking that shit.
Wow.
Like, I'm not drinking anything that you add water to, and now it looks like
It's crazy.
it looks dirty.
I have no idea what
I
that
actually
process is.
do. Here's the crazy thing, man. In fact, Evan,
Are you about to pour something in
the
here?
reason why 82 has a lot of symbolism.
And you don't
82
have the
proof.
82. And
We-
I want to talk about that for a minute because
It's-
I really wish you had some 82 with you.
You're talking about the 68 whiskey?
Yeah.
So this is all 82 proof.
Oh,
Let me get
82
to that in
proof,
a
68
second.
whiskey, whatever the hell
The
this shit is.
68 whiskey is 82 proof, and and the reason why I bring it up because it's actually I chemically I can't describe this as best as I should be able to, but we originally were going to release a 40% and 80 proof alcohol, and what we found is that when we were proofing it down, it got cloudy at 80 proof. And so we were like, well, what are we going to do? And the interesting thing is 82 ended up being so symbolic because 82 is the year most of us in the company were born. I served at the 82nd with my boy Chris, who's now one of the investors of the company.
Shout out to Chris Monty.
Yeah, paratroopers for life. And the cool thing about 82 is that it meant something to us. But the reality is that we came to 82 out of necessity because clear. As soon as we dropped below 81 proof, it started getting cloudy.
Huh.
And it's something about the way that when you add water, and God, if someone out there understands the process, please come on and let Murph know what up because it does somehow things come undissolved.
I believe that you told me that. I believe that, but I don't think every ouzo is at that low of a proof where they're adding water and it turns cloudy. I mean, some of these are higher proofs, and once you add the water, it looks like almost like a watered down milk.
Really,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
that cloudy.
yeah.
It's like white.
Every ouzo will do that when you add the
Yeah,
water.
it's something
And
about
I
it.
don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
Is it possible that it's magic?
Yeah, we are Greek.
Yes.
We-
it is.
you're welcome to
Look-
democracy.
Wizards.
Yeah. Well, that and the fact that they kept COVID away longer than anybody else on the planet. They
It's
were like,
because nobody wanted to drink it.
well, that was because they were all broke at the time.
Yeah, we owe
So
Germany
can
too
we-
much money.
Can we? I want the rye.
Yo, bet
I want the rye because
Yes. Yes,
you know,
good man.
we'll go to the marine. We'll go back to, you know, service time. I can't tell you how many times I've ran to Cadence and somebody was talking about drinking rye
Yep.
and never knew what it was. Even during my time, I never had rye before.
Yep. Here we go. Here we go.
It
This just goes to show the extent to which the corn lobby and the South have completely bastardized the discussion around whiskey. Because in fact, you're a New Yorker now, and your birthright as a New Yorker.
No. I'm from Baltimore. We'll
This
never
guy-
call me a
this guy.
fucking New Yorker.
Okay, so your wife as a New Yorker.
My wife
Crab
is-
cakes.
her
I love crab cakes. That's a whole nother story.
her birthright is rye whiskey. And-
Well, I just learned about this whole Empire rye.
Yep. And this is, you're about to taste an Empire rye.
Yep.
What
So this is
Empire
considered
rye-
as an Empire rye.
That's exactly right. It went into the barrel at 110 proof. We aged it for at least 3 years. In fact, this is a 5-year aged rye, and it's a 75% grain bill with rye, right? So 75% of the grain bill is rye. Then the rest.
Now, what
of
does
it-
that mean, grain bill?
In terms of the particulate matter that goes into the mash?
Yeah.
75% of the grain is rye.
Yep.
When you think about how you take grain and you use it to create the mash that then gets distilled, of that, it is composed of 75% rye, and in this one, I think it was 20% corn. The rest is barley.
Yep.
So
Water.
It's water.
yeah,
I know.
it's water and a thing. It's a foreign object. So I'm just
Oh,
gonna
that's
hold
good for
that.
you. That's
Yeah. So
foreign objects put hair on your chest.
here's the thing about this rye. It's an Empire rye. For us, this is the most special. This rye comes from Limekiln Farm, and what's cool about this is that it is as New York as it comes, because you're going to taste a slightly spicier. Some people even said pumpernickel. If you like a Jewish rye, like this right here,
Kavoy, I love the rye bread. It's beautiful. We'll go ahead and we'll get a velour suit on. We'll go down. Look at you. That's a beautiful. Look at you, son. That's beautiful right there. Hey.
so this is
That's
This right
a
here-
Yiddish rye
that's
right
exactly
there.
right. So this rye, okay, this is my favorite. I mean, you like the bourbon.
So-
The bourbon, but the rye is coming up. But
It's
It's
a
still my
different
second.
approach. It's a different approach to whiskey. It's a very different scent.
So here's what I always think about when I smell ryes. Ryes to me smell like summer baseball and a leather glove. They smell like they smell like a new leather glove.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Like-
Yes.
Rye to me, when the first time I had one was, again, it was from John over at Albany Distillery, and that was the first one I ever had. I'd never had a rye before, and he handed it to me, and I went, and now to smell this one, this even smells more leathery.
Yep.
And this is what I like about the rye, is it's that leathery smell where you're like, yeah, this is
It's an old school whiskey, man.
yeah, and
on
it feels
the
like you should be able to sit like it feels like you should be able to sit outside with some buddies around the fire, kids chasing lightning bugs, you know, everybody having a great conversation, and you can enjoy this. It's not a shooter whiskey. It's not one of those kind of things.
That's right. First of all, you're preaching. This is wisdom that's spitting out your mouth. I mean, what did you just call it? You said it was what? It was old.
It's an old fashioned whiskey.
This is how whiskey in the colonies started. And I'm telling you, I love this taste so much.
This is perfect.
Right?
Like I'm
Right. Thank you.
It's
Now-
honestly the taste like gets better and better every time I fucking taste it.
The smoothness,
Move
once
into the mic.
again,
Mike, move
you-
into the
you
mic, Mike.
never-
Mike, move into the mic,
You
Mike.
never get to, when you smell it, you're expecting something different, and then when it touches the tongue, it's just spreads out and kind of.
I'm going to tell you right now, Mike, like the way I see it, I see our company first and foremost as a rye whiskey company. And you know how some people talk about, oh, it's a high rye bourbon, right? 51% bourbon, and they got a whole slew of it. 40% might be rye. We're going to be putting out high rye ryes.
I think
Our
so.
next Empire rye is going to be 100% rye,
So that's not 100%.
75% rye. So it qualifies as an Empire rye.
Okay.
So the Empire rye's got to have a 75% minimum grain bill of rye.
Mhm.
We're going to go to 100% in the next release of what's going to be called Helderberg Empire Rye.
Yep.
Like what makes that so amazing is the fact that put another one in my glass. Don't be
Yeah,
cheap.
there's
Stop
my
being
man.
cheap.
Of course.
Stop being
We're
being
gonna
silly.
Turn you into a New Yorker before you realize.
No, I'm always going to stand up when I pee.
Yeah.
Mm.
Can't win them all, man. Can't win them all.
But I mean, the reality of it is that to me is when people talk about a sipping drink, that's what I want it to taste like. I don't want it to be something that when I taste it, it burns the whole way down like a brandy to me. You know, people are like, oh, brandy keep you warm. No, I don't want to be like that. I want to enjoy the flavor of it. I want to enjoy the taste of it. I'm going to tell you folks again, New Scotland Spirits, Scotland with 1 T. Don't mess up like I did and spell it with 2 T's plenty of times. But it's Scotland with one T, newscotlandspirits.com. Make sure you're checking these guys out. If you're up in the upstate area around the Albany, you go out to, the fine spirits.
Yeah, well, we're at a bunch of the farmers markets locally.
Well, you're doing that every Saturday and Sunday now?
Yeah, Saturday,
And-
Sunday, Wednesdays.
You're about to
yeah.
be doing them on Thursdays up at Westerlo.
Yep. You'll see me and Jesse or some of our other very close knit friends. Man, we're at the Gilderland one. We're at the Washington Park one. We're at the
Delmar.
Plaza. We're at Delmar.
Son, it's actually an unsustainable pace right now.
Well, I was
and
gonna
we're
ask
trying
you
to go
about
to
that.
More. We're spreading ourselves even more thin than we are.
Now,
We'll
how
be
does
there.
that work though? Because we always hear about I just met the gentleman Dave who owns D&L bar in Schenectady. We're going to broadcast from there.
Cool.
And real nice guy. And we were talking about some different things. He's like, he really protects his liquor license because he knows the value of it.
Yeah.
And how does that work when going to a farmer's market to sell stuff like that?
Okay, so the first thing is, and I'm not even being funny when I say this, I do not know how you start a craft spirits company or any alcohol company if you do not have an attorney in your founding roster.
There's so much. I mean, without Jesse, I don't know how the hell we would have done anything.
For
There's
4
way too
years.
much. There's way too much going on in it.
We aged this shit for 5 years. It took us 4 of those years to get right with the law.
Yeah.
The Tax and Trade Bureau, the New York State Liquor Authority, obviously the United States Patent and Trademark Office, and
We
the
love
things-
you all, by the way.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
They
Thank
love
you.
you.
I appreciate
Don't
all that
track
you've
them
done
down.
for us.
Do not come after them.
In order, we've and honestly, I'll be honest, we still get things messed up because it's so confusing. But what I do know is we have our farm distiller license from the New York State Liquor Authority. We've got our sales tax certificate of authority from the Department of Taxation and Finance. We've got our DSP from the distilled spirit plant license from the Tax and Trade Bureau federally. We've got our distributor license. My God, I mean, we've got
You jump through a lot of hoops to be able to serve.
It's leather.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can fucking describe that is
I love.
It's
for
leather.
real, I love that you love this one. This is
no,
my
that's
favorite.
like
You know, it's funny, and I
love it.
hope it's okay that I'm about to say this
Yep.
because of what you just said about wanting us to be a ride company. This is
oh wait a second, maybe it's this one I might.
no, not yet. You wait till after I say
Oh,
it,
okay,
and
shit,
then you
fuck,
see
God.
his reaction to what I'm going to say. The rye is what Jesse was worried about the most after we took it out of the barrel.
Yep.
And
Well, now what did you worry about with it? If you want, Mike, pull that stool up behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. I'll actually. You know what? No, Evan. This is. We
Yeah,
actually. You and I have not hashed this out for a bit. Let's. So let me.
Let's
tell you
get
what
it on.
happened. So here's what happened.
because it's fucking delicious.
Like
But
I'm telling you,
It
like
got smooth. I feel like it got smoother after everything.
I will never forget that night. Let me tell you. First of all, just so you know, Evan, where I was coming from.
Okay.
My number one favorite rye, and you got to try this. It's called the 6-year aged 100% rye Piggyback by Whistle Pig.
you were telling me about that.
best rye on the market.
It's delicious.
Best rye on the
It's
market.
delicious.
And the only thing I wanted, because I was such a rye whiskey chauvinist when we started this, I was like, we need to come on the scene and have people be like, this is what a rye should taste like. I had that in my head, right? And when we popped the barrel and we pulled it out, I was contrasting it to my very favorite whiskey experience. What I will say is, when I look at it as our own thing now, when I stop trying to compare myself to some other spirit, if you asked me, what is your number one favorite whiskey experience, like what are you going to do if it's left up to taste alone? I'm going to tell you straight up, and I hate to admit it, I'm not getting paid for it. Piggyback by Whistle Pig is unbelievable. It's my favorite.
Yeah, it's delicious.
But when I put that aside and I said, instead of comparing it to my number one experience, what do I think about our line? I can genuinely say, and I feel like I've already laid the foundation to have some credibility because I already gave the props to Whistle Pig. I definitely believe this is the best rye I've ever tasted. And the reason that I got down on it was because I wanted it to taste like something else.
Right. You wanted it to be, look, we all wanted everything. You know, we were talking about food earlier. Took my dad to an Italian restaurant years ago when he was still around, and I loved the food there. My dad sat down and ate it and went, this tastes like shit, because it wasn't his mother's food.
Right.
That's the favorite that you have. But reality of it is I'm going to tell you right now, that's the best rye I've ever had. And
Fucking man right there.
And that, again, like, I think a lot of people get scared of brown liquors. I think we grew up with your first brown liquor. I promise you, every one of us, it was Jack Daniels, it was Jim Beam, Canadian Club, you know, whatever you could steal from mom and dad's liquor cabinet. And every time the first taste of it was like, oh, this is really good. I like this a lot. And your eyes twitching and shit. And you're like, you know, and it burned the whole way down.
Right.
You know, you start getting into things like this. This could take somebody who isn't a brown liquor drinker and have them enjoy this, or even if they had one drink of it and went, wow, this is good, I would share that with somebody. That's the other side to it.
Yeah.
I also want to point this out.
And look, I'm not blowing any of them, just so you all understand. I just really enjoy this shit.
I also
everybody's hands are in the air right now.
I just want to say this too, because we do have this weird, like, nothing against clear spirits. At some point, we are talking about putting out a vodka and a gin. I just want to say something about our Helderberg whiskey line. The fact is, if you're telling me that you are going to gravitate to a vodka over a whiskey, you're fucking lying. Okay? To the extent that you might want to mix something in it. All right, dealer's choice. If you need to put cranberry juice or a Coca-Cola in your alcohol, don't buy our shit.
Yeah.
Like, this is not supposed to be mixed with aspartame or whatever chemicals you're going to get in Pepsi. I think the reason why people get concerned or get intimidated by brown whiskey or brown liquor is because they don't realize that the brown, that's its own distinct flavor. That is informed by the barrel. That's supposed to be enjoyed neat. If you're someone who wants to mix this, go for it. But then, and this gets back to Evan's cocktails, you know, the time and energy he's put into making cocktails that leverage the precise tastes of our whiskeys is an indication that, like, when you drink, you know, he's come up with this old New Fashioned or a New Scotland. What do we got here?
So I just want you to know that my buddy Lincoln, who writes for Whiskey Magazine, who I tried to get to come on, sent me a picture and he goes, hey man, I can't come on. I'm at Merchant Cigar Bar down in New York City. Fucking tough life he got.
Yeah.
And so you understand, Heaven's Hill, which makes Eli Craig, like, sends him like shit. I just sent him your stuff and I made sure I put down on there, best rye I've ever had.
Please.
Thanks, bud.
You can say bye.
Say his name, Lincoln.
Yeah, Lincoln
please
Lincoln Chinnery.
Let us know what you think of that. And,
We're gonna have to figure out a way to get Lincoln a bottle.
Oh, two
Eh,
yeah, not a problem.
Lincoln Chinnery is an amazing dude, and I'll even tell him, going to have them
ship you a bottle.
ship
Yes, sir.
Hell yeah.
you a bottle and get your thoughts.
All right. By the way, since we're almost at the end of this line, the Helderberg whiskey line. Evan, can you toss me that single malt?
Now that's a question now, and you started to talk about this a little bit, Evan. So this set that's coming out, that's been you know, sitting for the last 5 years, even though it says 4 on the bottle, folks, it's 5.
It's just
You know,
just
Jesse
one
can't
bottle.
do
Just one
fucking.
bottle.
Jesse can't do math. It's a whole army thing.
So
It's
cool.
like when we were in the Marine Corps and we were like, hey, we need such and such from the Army. And they were like, we'll send you 3. And one shows up and it's like, fuck, bro, you said 3. Like, yes,
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yes, that is right.
yes, the others are coming.
No.
They just got to go through boot camp right now.
Right.
Like that's my favorite story. Like so, I was out in the Med in 90. The fuck year was it? 96 and then 97. We left like around Thanksgiving.
Okay.
We get out there, and that's when Albania's going on, Bosnia's going
That's
on.
right.
We're dealing with the Republic of Congo is happening, and there was like two. I'll never forget it because the number 2 was in every bit of this.
Okay.
So, and anybody who was in the Army at the time, this is what the fuck happened. So I'm in the Marine Corps. We're on an LSD ship, which is a amphibious ship. It's got these LCACs. LCACs are basically like, remember G.I. Joe had the hovercraft?
Mhm.
That's what that is. And they'll hold like Humvees and 5 tons and artillery, and you can just like land right on the beach.
Cool.
So we're out there, and they're like, hey, there's these 200 college kids that are stranded in the Republic of Congo. We need to rescue them. So they're like, yeah, the Marine Corps is probably going to have to go do it. And we're like, why? They're like, because the Army said it's going to take them 2,000 people, 2 months to get ready. And it was like, everything was and it was like $2 million.
We have to build a bridge.
Right. The Marine Corps was like, the Marine Corps was like,
Yeah,
yeah, we need like 200 Marines, $200,000, and give us a couple of days to get down there. And the Marine Corps, like, they were like, the shit that comes out of the Marine Corps, like more bullshit stories. They were like, yeah, we're going to run LCACs up the Congo River. I'm like,
Sweet.
I'm not a genius and I don't know geography, but I know there's falls on that bitch. How are we getting up the falls? And they're like, oh, that's.
We're gonna go from the other direction.
Oh yeah, but somebody else, like Secret Squirrel, fucking Ricky Recon bullshit, ended up saving all these like.
Yeah, who did it? I
was like, I think it was like all these like, because if you ever watch the, I think it's from the movie Last King of Scotland is what that's all about. Is when that happened. Yeah, it was like a whole thing.
No shit.
Yeah, I'm almost sure that's the movie that gets into that whole piece is The Last King of Scotland, because that's the entire Republic of Congo, because at that time, because now it's Zaire, what used to be the Republic, or maybe it was the other way, or Zaire is now the Republic of Congo.
Yeah, it was. It's not that movie, because that is that was Idi Amin from Uganda.
Okay, so that's that one. There's something about that movie.
Yeah.
There's some movie about it.
Anyway.
Oh, look, see, he even said it. Thank you. I'll be looking for it.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I'm not even kidding. Get the address. I mean, here's the thing. When people are writing about, and I'm going to return to this theme one and only one more time. When people write about New Scotland spirits, they are writing about New Scotland fields. And so I
love that.
You already know I want people to be talking about us, man, because I'm so proud. And listen, Randy, Rebecca Miller, Patrick Carey, obviously, we wouldn't be anywhere without Patrick Carey.
Pat, you ain't shit because you ain't here.
John
Berquist, Chris Monty, Brian McGregor, the dude who's responsible for the frescoes on our labels, like Brian Kafka, who's
Pat, you ain't shit, you ain't here.
Sales, dude. Like it is like a graduation class reunion. And
do you know what's really good? Is that damn water afterwards.
Yeah.
Well, it helps, because we don't want.
I get that, but the water has a flavor.
Well, yeah, and we need to drink water. I mean, one day Jesse turned to me after one of our events. It was like, Evan, you need to be drinking water. And I was like, I fucking do, man. But I didn't realize I really wasn't.
Yeah, no.
I thought about drinking water. Just thinking about it doesn't really quench the thirst. How you want.
I gave the water a thought. It crossed my mind.
So this what Evan's pouring right now. This is our Helderberg single malt, and the thing that's cool about this is it's our flagship.
Okay.
All right. A single malt, 100% barley. That's what a Scotch whiskey is known for, right?
None that this is a Scotch.
Yeah,
Scotland.
that's right. It's not a Scotch because it wasn't distilled in Scotland per the Code of Federal.
And it wasn't fucking peat moss.
That's exactly
fucking
right.
Burned in somebody's backyard or whatever the hell they do.
But Murph, here's the best part about this: the way we get that Scotch experience.
Thanks, bro.
No problem.
Is we use a heavy char barrel, a char 4 barrel. And
what does that mean?
The inside of the oak, we burn the shit out of it
4 times, baby.
And so that
okay, so now I'm curious this, and I'm going to pause you for a second. You said 4 times, Evan.
Char 4 times.
Now, but does that mean like the wand goes around it 4 times? What does that mean? Or like you char it, it sits. You char it, it sits.
It's different depending on the cooperage.
Yep.
The way they achieve quote unquote char 4. Everyone's got different proprietary processes. The point is that what char 4 means is that it's more burnt than Char 3. And that's what you need to know.
6 foot tall, taller than 5'11".
So we use a Char 4. And so instead of having the smokiness come from the way you heat the mash with the peat, you get that smokiness from the
Now this is a
barrel.
malt.
This is a single malt,
That's a
100%
single malt.
barley.
Yeah,
And this
so-
barley is from Indian Ladder
Indian Ladder
Farms. This is the
Farms.
first thing we ever distilled.
Yep.
So we love Indian Ladder Farms, my wife and I.
Yeah.
They're great. They're
We
great.
love going there. My wife likes their cauliflower pizza.
Yeah.
the kids- The kids like to go see the petting zoo.
Yeah, everyone.
I've had some pretty. Just because that was your nickname in high school.
No, man, Jesse, listen. There's
Oh,
something
look,
about
here comes
There's
Jesse,
something about
aka
Jesse.
Petting Zoo.
Yeah, heavy petting zoo.
Heavy Petting Zoo.
Uh,
Look, it's Jesse. Ha ha ha.
No, the thing about Jesse is he comes from a family of fucking like incredibly loving animal lovers. I was at the Hudson Farmers Market.
I love animals too on my plate.
Well, yeah, but I'm sure you enjoy pets, right? So there's dogs walking around.
Yeah, sure.
And this dog is like yapping, and I'm listening to my best friend in the fucking world just basically like cursing like a little fucking chihuahua out, and like I'm like, Jesus Christ, Jess, the poor dog's just like hot or something. And he's just like, they don't have to fucking bring him.
Hey, you know what? Take it
You know?
somewhere else. Take it somewhere else. You know, I don't need to be accosted.
So
by
I'm like,
your
okay.
chihuahua.
Chocolate.
I'm like, okay, whatever. He doesn't like that one dog. And then we go to his sister's house, and the dog runs up to him, all smiley with a fucking ball in his mouth. And I hear like something along the lines of like, yeah, like get the fuck away from me, Chester. And he's hitting me. I'm like, I don't know if this guy likes fucking animals anymore. And he was just like,
I was
you know what he said?
inundated
Quote,
with them
quote,
growing up.
Quote,
Everywhere.
I
They're
don't-
everywhere.
I don't do pets.
Really?
I don't do pets.
I don't do pets. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Let me introduce. Like, you'd have to meet my cats then, because I have the coolest cats in the world. So, like, my granddaughter, who was upstairs that you met, she like laid on the couch, and my cat Titan. If you couldn't figure it out, my one cat is Titan, the other one is Luna,
Okay.
named
Sweet.
Moons.
Of course.
And they're black cats. My man Titan just rolled right over, fully on his back, paws to the side, and just let her lay right on top of him. Like, cats don't.
Here's the thing.
Cats
about
don't do that
let
shit.
Let me tell you why I at least will fuck with cats. Because a cat, like I've had the experience where a cat will look at me and be like, "Listen, I live here.
Yeah.
You live here. Let's keep our
Right,
distance.
right. They're not real pets.
We do our things. This is my area as much as it's your. Like when I was growing up, and I had we had cats. It was like
How much of this shit were you drinking when the cat was talking to you?
I once had a cat say to me, dude, when I was living in my parents' house as a kid, they're like, "You're not paying rent here either. I got as much a right as you do. So get the fuck out of my way." I was like, "All right, cat, got you. You know what?"
And
Word.
again, the cat was talking to
Yeah,
you.
yeah. He didn't tell you what he ingested. probably.
Yeah, I was like, what kind of mushrooms were
He
those?
jumped. past
So
that,
this
but-
taste, you know what I taste with this?
Yeah,
Chocolate.
chocolate. That's weird. I don't taste that. Someone else said that. To us.
I taste,
Yeah.
I taste like a chocolatey off the malt, like a
I love this.
I just
Our single malt's fucking
like
delicious,
a
and I-
dark chocolate kind
yeah,
of a
that's what
flavor.
they said. She said
But
dark chocolate. Do
yeah.
you get that? Honestly,
It's
you get
I
dark chocolate.
get chocolate, but the thing with dark chocolate is it comes with like a bitter. The more cocoa or what is it?
Oh,
the percentage of the
yeah, like
the
that-
higher it goes
that
up, the more
bitterness.
bitterness. I don't get the bitterness in that. So I wouldn't say.
I wouldn't say a
just don't-
bitter.
I
I
just
just get a
don't say-
chocolatey flavor.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
just don't taste the chocolate. People say it. I just for some reason I don't get it.
it's fucking.
Now you got me all fucked
is
up,
real- this is
sniffing
really
and
bad.
holding my breath.
Yo, that's how you
I
drink
like
it.
the-
That's how you drink it. And I'll tell you something.
That's how
After
you
you do it,
get you there.
here's if you want to go to another level and watch this. So you've already done that. I wasn't
Right.
going to bring it here, but you challenged me. So now,
challenge.
what you want to do is put this just on your lips. Watch this. You go, and when you pull it
Just
away,
a tip in.
just the tip. And now what happens is you prep your mouth to essentially, it's like it's ready. Warm it up, and now look how easy that slides in.
That's what she said.
I don't even
Now,
need to
you know
do
what?
that,
We-
but-
It's smooth
Ta-
anyways.
ta-
oh my goodness.
Talking about that documentary Neat, we were
Yeah.
talking about the one girl that she goes and like, that's weird. Like Kentucky has like these backwoods hidden places to buy like really expensive bourbons.
Mhm.
And in that documentary, she talks about like your first drink of bourbon tastes like gasoline. And then afterwards, you start to get the flavors from it. And at first, I didn't understand what she meant, and I understand it more now. But you don't get that with these.
No,
It's
It's
from
pretty smooth
By
from the
design.
from
the
from
get-go.
Jump Street.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that because I'll tell you a story. When Jesse first brought me in, I was nervous for one reason, because of how close I am with him, and not that I would have sugarcoated anything, but I did want to be involved in this, and I was not expecting every product to be this fucking good. And I'm not just saying that. Like, I was like, am I gonna have to fucking not ruin my and like ruin my relationship with my buddy and be like, yo man, like this fucking sucks, you know, but I'll go ahead with it. This stuff is fucking good, and every bottle has been better than the last. And if we can continue this is going to be something special. It already is. But
To that end, look, we've given a lot of love to the farmers, but this is a good point for us to at the very least give a shout out to the distillers who have made this happen.
yes,
That was
Right
gonna be
off
my
the
next
bat,
question.
Tyler LaCarrata,
yes,
genius.
yes.
Obviously, Steve Osborne, Kim Wagner, we wouldn't be anywhere without you. John Curtin, Rick Sakari,
Mm-hmm.
number one, most important because he's just so taken us under his wing. Ken Gibbons,
Yes.
These are people
And
who
his father Don, thank you, Don.
and his father Don, number one.
Don was the one who taught me about, I mean, pretty much almost every talking point that I've had that Jesse hasn't fed me. When I was filtering this process, you know, when after it's proofed down and I'm sitting there, I was running the filter. He told me if I continued to do so, basically I would have had the clear. Remember how we talked about everything goes in clear?
Mhm.
Well, we can make it clear again. I found out if I continued on the filtering process.
Oh, really? It'll come back out the other way.
Yeah, if I kept on filtering it, I would have that clear whiskey again. And it was Ken's father, Don, over at 36 Locks in Schenectady Distillery, who taught me that. Good man.
Yeah,
Good man. A lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You guys are bringing up a great point, and we're going to get ready to close the bar up here soon. But you're bringing up a great point of, you know, New York. You know, Lord Commander Cuomo had come up with this entire farm license, farm distilling. What has it been now? 5-6 years ago now, maybe even a little bit longer.
9 years.
Right.
Has it been 9 years?
8 years.
You know,
I went with the number you said, Jess.
8 years. 8 years.
you know, and I mean, it was nothing. It was like $50 in your sister's phone number, and Cuomo would give you a distilling license. I mean, that's why he's not in office anymore either, but that's a whole nother story. But, you know, you got this license so easily as long as 75% of your product came from New York State.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some pretty impressive liquors that are coming from a state that wasn't known nationally currently for its liquor.
Currently, that's right.
But historically,
Right. It's coming back.
we are like I explain to people all the time, the best barley in the world used to come from Canton. That
Really?
Oh yeah.
New York,
So
son. Yep.
so the Canton area used to create the best barley not barley, excuse me, correct myself, hops. The
Okay.
best hops
Okay.
in the world came from there. Just prior to Prohibition, there was a blight that affected the crops. So they had a bad crop year. Then you have Prohibition. They stopped producing as much and it went away. Flip the script. Now they're back to doing it. And you're getting these amazing hops from coming out of that valley out towards the Canton area. You go driving around there, you'll see those big, long, stringed up, like, well, I don't know how tall they are, 12 feet tall or whatever it is. You find all these hop farms out there, or people just doing it in their backyard because they know people are going to buy it.
Right,
You know,
right.
but
And
you-
because Monsanto hasn't gotten their hands on it yet.
you were right though that like it isn't just hops. It was also barley. It was also rye. New York was, from the perspective of alcohol. It
Real
was
quick,
the
do you guys want
breadbasket.
anything from Stewart's? My wife's at Stewart's. You want anything? Mike, you want anything from Stewart's? You want
No,
anything?
I'm straight.
You
I'm
good?
straight.
Okay. That's so fucking New York.
Thank you, April.
Yeah, thank you, April. Yeah. So I mean, this
Just
is
talking
this
to
is
Mike like she's listening.
this
Yeah,
is
that's
a,
she actually probably is.
Thank you.
this is our effort to return New York to its rightful place of recognition in the spirits world.
Absolutely.
And Hudson Whiskey with Tuttletown Spirits. They started this. I really, we got to pay homage to the people on whose shoulders we're standing.
Mm-hmm.
And, I just would say that, as arrogant as this sounds, it happens to be true. We're the exclamation point on this history.
Yeah, I actually stand behind that.
Helderberg Whiskey by New Scotland Spirits.
I mean, it's impressive. Again, folks, make sure you take the time. You go out, you look up New Scotland Spirits, 1T in Scotland, as I've said.
Go to that site and join. Is it the newsletter? Join into the newsletter. Let us know where you're at, and we will be spreading out that to wherever you are.
Roger.
Just look for us.
As Jesse said earlier, he's now put it in his mouth. He likes to taste. And then Evan said he's going to spread out. So one way or another.
We make promises. We keep them.
Now we know why he left the Army.
Hey, don't ask.
His OnlyFans account just couldn't hang with it.
Right.
And ladies, you go look at his little red face. Right? Look how red his face is right now. If you guys can't see it, it's so cute. As a dad, I'm just looking over like, oh, I'm like a proud papa. He's all red and a little veiny and everything. Oh, it's so cute. All right, folks. So again, newscotlandspirits.com. Evan's all red. We're all fully fed. My wife's picking up some firewood for us. I think we're going to have a couple extra drinks around the fire tonight.
Oh, sweet.
Get ourselves situated. As we do always on the show, gents. And Mike, you get the first one, Mike. You're going to get the first one here. Guests always get the last word. Mike's been hanging out. He's been our professional taste tester. He hooked us up tonight. My first taste of candied bacon. He's going to have to hook me up with that recipe. Then he made jalapenos that he took the seeds out, like every one of them but one, and left the seed. It was like fucking Russian roulette of jalapenos.
Saving it for you.
It was like Russian roulette.
Don't pick this one.
Right. Like I had my back turned and he was like, don't taste this one. I got that one. I'm over there like trying to, if you've ever had jalapeno burn while trying to drink a whiskey sour, the shit don't work. The shit don't work. I'm trying to do this whole show and I'm going like, this is great. Oh, fuck, I can't drink this. Like I wanted to get up and go get a soda at any moment. I'm like, eat some corn, potato salad, something. So what's the last word from you there, Mike?
Oh, I just appreciate the opportunity. You can 100% tell that these guys are passionate and love what they do. And it shows 1,000% in their product.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, Mike.
You two pick, and then whoever gets the last word.
Do we only get one last word between the two of us?
No, each of you get your own.
All right, I'm gonna do mine first because this is just probably how it's gonna work. Anyways, thank you, man, for having us here. I wasn't here last time, but I was here half the time here today. I think I'll have to go back and listen to it again.
Just listen.
But but thank you, man. Thank you so much. And again, check us out. And I'm going to hand this over to Jesse.
Yeah, and what I will say is, Murph, you may not want to be a New Yorker, but I'm happy to say that you're an honorary New Scot for all of the support that you've given us. And the person that people I really want to thank right now is obviously Pat, who couldn't be here today, but then also Evan, who's just been really clutch in making sure that we had something to talk about today on the show. Same with Kafka, same with the Millers, same with John and Chris and Brian, the whole crew, everyone who supported this. It really, every single sip that we've had has been touched by a lot of people who gave a shit about this product, gave a shit about us, gave a shit about our hometown. And it's why I came back and why I knew I was going to come back after the Army.
Alrighty, folks, be sure to push your stool in.
This has been an Earplug Podcast presentation. Found on earplugpodcast.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and wherever your favorite podcasts are found.